Welcome, little Acre family. So, Mama, what are we learning today?
Okay, so I don't like plastic wrap, and I don't like, I don't like to use foil too much. I really prefer a parchment paper or wax paper or whatever, but I want to cover my bowls, and I try to use glass as much as I can. And so, of course, these, I know all of y'all have seen these. These are just Pyrex bowls, right?
Just your basic
bowls, right? And I like to store my stuff in bowls as well. So I'm going to teach you today how to make bowl covers, right? Out of fabric. So they're real easy. So you just place your bowl down on a piece of parchment paper for your pattern, and you have to come out approximately an inch, maybe an inch and a half max, but at least an inch away from your bowl. And you're just going to draw a circle that is, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is not about perfect. This is just about coming out from around your bowl and drawing a circle. Then we'll cut that out and use that for our pattern. Now let me show you on a smaller bowl, because that one is so big.
So I have a quick question. Since we have this extra large bowl, and let's say someone has already pre-cut parchment paper,
right?
What do you do when the corners are cut off? Do you need to buy?
Like on this big one, it's not
perfect
here.
Yeah.
So if you're the kind of person that absolutely has to see that, then we're going to tape some parchment paper on here to make the pattern big enough. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to eyeball it from here to here when I cut. That's all. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so that's that one. But this shows you on a smaller one. Let me do this one. So if I center this and I just go out an inch to an inch and a half all the way around. And guys, this is not perfection, okay? You'll probably have a hard time seeing this on the screen. So let me make it a little bit darker and see if y'all can see it that way.
And we can always zoom in in the video so y'all can see and really get a good look.
Yeah. See, so that's that size bowl.
Yeah, that's almost the size of the baby bump.
It is.
Literally. That's funny.
Yeah. So, and you do that for each one of your bowls, right? So you're just going to draw a pattern for each one of your bowls. Then we're going to go upstairs to our sewing room, our craft room, or whatever room. And we really, at some point, if we ever get to the homestead, we want a she shed. But right now we're upstairs in a spare bedroom.
I want to hide away in my she shed.
Yes. So we will take you up there. It's chaos. We've got projects going. We've got, stuff that we
baby quilt
dumped in there on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but we're going to show it to you just like it is, because that's real. That's the way it is. Okay. So we'll finish drawing up these circles for these other bowls, and then we will be back with you to show you the sewing room, and we'll get started on sewing these.
Exciting. Welcome to the chaos.
Yes, we're back. We're up in the sewing room. So we spend a lot of our time up here, and we're working on projects, and this is what it looks like when you're leaving a project to come back to it. It's crazy. I threw some extra pillows in here day before yesterday because they were in the way. So it's kind of chaotic. So if y'all just will stay with us, let us move a few things around, and then we'll start on our project, because we're going to pick some fabric and do some things like that. So
we're going to speed the video up and clean real quick, and we'll be back with some more fabric picking, and then we'll start on the project.
Right.
All right, so speed run done. Chaos under control.
A little bit. I'm just picking a fabric out of my stash that, is okay to use for kitchen bowl covers. I'm not married to this fabric at all. Whatever. So I do have some fabric that I wouldn't want to, necessarily use just to use on bowls in the kitchen. But this I don't care about. So this has got candy on it, and it.
And what kind of fabric is it? Is it all cotton?
This is 100% cotton fabric that you buy. You can buy it at Hobby Lobby. You can buy it at, I think Michael's is even putting in a fabric department since Joann's closed, and you can order this online. So 100% cotton is all you need. Okay, and there's no special preparation for this. There's no washing the fabric beforehand. There's no lining up the grain of the fabric. It's simple.
So you're saying a beginner like myself can do it?
Yes, I am. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your pattern, and I'm going to use this one so that y'all can kind of see it in a bigger. I'm going to try to get over here as close to the edge as I can because I don't want to waste fabric, right? So I'm going to just pin it down in a couple of places. And for those of you that have not sewn, it's always nice to start out with really easy projects. And the trick is you just go slow, right? You're not in a race, you're not competing with anybody. And if you're new to sewing, then you go slow. Otherwise, if you've been sewing for as many years as I have, you can, go at, a racer's
warp
pace.
Speed.
Yeah, warp speed. Okay, so we had to go get some light so y'all could see better. All right, so I've pinned it, correct? And I'm going to use my scissors. And for those of you that do sew, you're going to know this. For those of you that don't sew, here's a little tidbit. You don't lift your fabric and cut. You leave your fabric on the table, and you see you have this side of the scissor that your fingers go in, this side of the scissor that your thumb goes in. Well, the side that your fingers goes in is very flat, so you lay it on the table and you cut full cuts, not chop, 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 right? Back of the scissor, full cut. Back of the scissor, full cut. Okay? That way you keep from getting that chopped up look when you are...
It's more fluid.
It's more fluid, right. There we go. Now, there's your cutout. So you're going to take the pins out, and we're going to put, normally you would not do this during sewing, but for this you do. So, and do you see that's not perfect? Do you see that it's a little bit square on the ends? Well, if you wanted to, you could take off that little piece and make it more round. It just doesn't matter, okay? So you want to keep it, when you're sewing this, you're going to put your fabric pretty sides together, because we're going to sew, we're going to sew all of this. When we get down here, we're going to start here and we're going to end here, meaning we're going to leave a little space, and we're going to turn this, okay? And it's going to be, once we turn it, it'll be pretty on both sides, okay? So let's do that, and what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're just going to sew about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So start here, around, stop, leave about that much unsewn space. And I'm going to go sew that, and I'm going to come back to the table and show you exactly what I'm talking about. For y'all that are new, you're going to want to pin this, and don't stitch over your pins. But for you sewers that have been sewing, you know the routine. It's just together and stitch around. And if your machine has a slow speed, you can change it. If it doesn't, you're just going to sew slower, right? If you're new, like that, just going to push less on the pedal. But if it's on a while, speed it up. We started here, and you're going to back stitch a couple of stitches. Why? Because my grandmother told me to. Okay. All the way around, in, back stitch a couple of stitches. If you don't, then you run the risk of it raveling back out, and your work is...
Been there, done that one.
Yeah. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this. Now this is a circle, and anytime you have a circle or you have curves, generally you need to put a little clip in the fabric, not close to your stitching, just there, just a little bit. Just a little bit. It eases it up and it makes the turn look more professional, but you have to make really sure you don't get close to the stitches. If you make these clips and they're close to the stitch, it's going to come out and you're going to get to start over. So easy peasy with the cutting. All right, so we're going to turn it. We're going to turn it right through this hole. Okay, and then you have an iron, right? And we're going to press it to make it lay nice and flat. Okay. There we go. So you do not use your scissors to
poke,
to do that, right? We either need a chopstick or something that's dull, or your fingers are okay. You can use fingers. But nothing sharp like a pair of scissors, because...
Was that a lesson learned?
That's a lesson learned. That is a lesson learned. Okay, so there it is without
Elastic.
without pressing. But once I press it, it's going to be nice and flat. And then, of course, this gets turned under here, right? So that it's nice and even. But I have to do it with an iron. Okay, so I make that other part of the circle. Then we're going to go in again, and we're going to make another stitch around, just about another 1/4 inch in. We're just going to use some thin elastic, okay? And we're going to do the same thing, because we're going to leave an opening for that elastic to go through. Once we do that, we'll thread the elastic, and then you'll have a bowl cover. So let me go iron this. Let me do the second row of stitching. We'll come back and talk about putting the elastic in. Okay, so I went to the table, I ironed it, right, pressed it out, and then I came in about 5/8 of an inch from the outside to make room for my elastic that's going through here, okay? And so there's only a little bitty opening here to put my, my safety pin through. So I'm going to put my safety pin in the end of my elastic, and we're going to insert it right here.
That's an interesting trick.
And you just push, 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 pull. Push, 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 pull. And around we go, right? And then as soon as I'm through pulling that through, then we'll tighten it up. We'll stitch it together, and we'll have a bowl cover.
Bam, boom.
Yep. Necessarily, and you want to make sure that you don't let that end come into your ring, or you're going to have to start over again. So we watch the end of this, right? Sometimes I even take it. If I have a big one I'm doing, sometimes I'll even take it till I get over here to the end, and I'll just pin it. And that way I don't have to, worry about it pulling through.
Tips and tricks of the trade.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned, yeah.
That's a lesson learned.
How many times have you had to learn lots of lessons on
these? So many.
So many.
Yeah, because, but that's just part of it, you learn from your mistakes. So when you make a mistake, whether it's cooking or whether it's sewing or whether it's crafting or whatever it is, gardening, it's okay, because I promise you, you're gonna learn from that mistake, and you won't make that mistake again. Because
If you do, then you'll learn it again.
You'll learn it again, right? Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so there you are. You get to that point, and you come all the way around, right? And you come back out. Now, what we need to do is, you don't have to, but I like to feel the elastic and feel that that's the direction it's going. Sometimes it'll be twisted in there, and I don't like that twisty feeling in mine. So I'm paying attention to how it's coming out of the casing. So mine's coming out like that. All right. So now what I need to do is I'm going to come here to the end just for a minute, and I'm going to safety pin those together. Okay. Because I don't want to have to worry about it, and I want to be able to pull on this a little bit.
Stretch it.
Right. And just kind of.
It reminds me of a shower cap.
It does kind of, yeah. Okay, so there we are. Okay, I've kind of evened out my gathers. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to take these, and I'm going to put them together. You can pull it out like that, so you can get more space. But I'm just going to put the ends together, lap them over, and I'm going to zigzag right here, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to hold it together. Then I'm going to pull this, and it'll be done. Okay, if your machine has a free arm, it makes it a little easier. I learned to sew on a machine that didn't have a free arm, so you can do it on that as well. But mine has a free arm, so I've taken the part off to put my band around this, and I've dropped my needle right into the beginning of where I've lapped it over, and then I'm just gonna forward, backwards, forward, backwards, forward, backwards, forward, backwards. That's it. Okay. Now that's sewn together, so it's not gonna come loose. And I'm gonna trim I hate threads, so trim your threads. All right. Then we're gonna pull it, and you're gonna see that as we're doing that, that's going to disappear inside our little opening, right? So now you have a little opening that you need to sew. So all you do is you just lay that down like that, however big your opening is. You're gonna put it back on your machine, and you're gonna stitch really close to the edge. Go all the way around like that, and then that's your bowl cover. Okay, I didn't promise that this site was going to be perfection, and it's not. We're all learning together.
That's true.
So when I went out to look up how to do fabric bowls, that's what it said. It said add an inch out from your bowl, which is what I did, okay? And I cut them out. I cut a small, a medium, a large, and an extra large. Small, medium, large, extra large. Okay. And we made it, right? And I cut out the one for the large bowl, right? I cut it out for large.
Large, yes.
Yes, okay, so I cut it out for this one.
Nope, that's extra large.
This
large,
one.
yes.
Okay, this one. Okay, so I cut it out for this bowl, added an inch, made it, and it didn't fit. That's a problem.
We're going, oh no, we gotta redo the video.
Right? And I was like, no, we're not gonna redo the video. We're just going, this is a lesson, okay? So it fit the medium bowl really nice. You see, it's nice and tight, and it fits it perfect, right? So that tells me that we need to add 2 inches to each one. And so the next one that let's make the next one, which is going to be
Actually,
we're going to try for a large again. Okay, so I'm going to write medium on this pattern. So now I know this is my medium bowl. I don't have to think about that again. Okay, on this one was cut. Okay, and I'm going to add, I'm going to go out 2 inches on each, all the way around. Okay, so we're going to add 2 inches. We're going to make it, and we're going to see if it will fit this bowl on this go around. So let me get this cut out 2 inches bigger than the bowl. Let me get it made up, and then we'll come back to you and I'll tell you if it's right or not.
Perfect.
Okay, here's a lesson we found out. These bowls have lips, and that extra bit of lip is causing us to need the extra inch of fabric. Okay, so they fit perfectly when you add the extra inch of fabric. All right, but if your bowl doesn't have a lip, then you can probably scale back a little bit, a generous inch, okay, for a bowl without a lip. Okay, little Acre family, that's our lesson for today.
See you on our next adventure. Bye.